Hi everyone out there on YouTube. My name is William Ryan and I am still a crystal meth addict. With me on my show today, I have my very, very good friend Lexington. Lex.
Hey, how you going?
Now I won't say Lex's introduction, but Lex, are you also a crystal meth addict?
Yeah, so I'm a crystal meth addict, yes.
Cool. So the reason I brought Lex on the show today is to talk about not necessarily just my recovery, but another person's recovery and their perspective on getting treatment, because there's actually a couple of things that Lex has brought to my attention that I wasn't even aware of. So we'll just jump right in. Cool to go?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one of the things I wanted to ask Lex about was the first 16 days of his recovery. As you noticed in my channel, my recovery starts on day 17. So the first 16 days for me were particularly unbearable. What I wanted to ask Lex was how your first 16 days were.
Hey, my first 16 days were absolutely crazy. So I was absolutely psychotic still. I was going out of different stages where I would psychoanalyze anything that people said to me. So if people were talking about experiences about themselves or saying something that they had done, I would automatically think that they were talking about me, but using themselves as an example to send a message to me. So for example, someone was to say say that day I had been at the train station and I was walking home. I then went and saw a friend that night and my friend said, yeah, I've got to catch the train home. I would think, okay, they're watching me, they've seen me at the train station.
And those two events that have nothing to do with each other are actually linked.
Exactly.
Wow, okay.
Yes. I also was so paranoid. I used to have to walk outside with sunglasses on my head because I couldn't look at people in the eye.
Wow.
I was so social phobia.
Was that day and night though, or just during the day?
All the time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Actually, I think the first time I met you, you had sunglasses on.
Yeah, I couldn't look at anyone. I would look away.
I just learned something new then because I just made that connection. Wow. Okay. What else?
I would overthink anything that people would say to me. I always thought there was an underlining hidden agenda to anything. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I was seeing patterns.
So Lex made this clear to me before, but I don't actually understand this. So break it down for me when you say patterns.
Okay, so I was very prone to psychosis. So I always was seeing blue and red and sometimes white. So if I say we're walking down the street and a flow of people walking towards me, every time I saw the colour blue and red, whether they were together or whether someone was wearing blue and then another person was wearing red, I would see it together. If I saw someone wearing green, yellow, orange, any other colour, my mind would just block it out and forget I'd seen it. So say there was 5 people walking towards me, 2 of them were wearing blue and red, and then the other 3 people were wearing any other colour. I would only see the blue and red and start getting paranoid about it. Then I would look at buildings. If there was a bit of blue or a bit of red there, I would start seeing that and not seeing any other colours. I then played this mind game thinking that blue and red, what must it be? France. That's the colour of the French flag. I'm being invaded, or I'm being watched by
French people.
By French spies.
Wow.
I then would walk through shops or through the city and I'd hear a French accent or I'd hear people speaking another language.
And they're watching you.
I would think they were French, or I would only hit French people, and I would just link it up and getting so paranoid.
Now, personally, I never have suffered psychosis. I mean, I've been around people when they're in a psychosis state, and I understand in your mind that's really real and that's really happening.
Yes.
To me, on the outside, as someone who doesn't suffer a psychosis, I don't understand. So tell the people who are watching, when that is happening, that is so real. That's your reality, isn't it? That's as real as you and me here.
And if you were to tell me that it's not happening or try and tell me otherwise,
I
would think that you were a part of them.
So there was no way to talk you out of it.
The only way is to agree with what I'm saying.
Wow.
I'll go, wow, that's scary. If you were to say, no, that's wrong, I would think you were
part of the conspiracy.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, so going on from that, when you were in this psychosis state, as it were,
Mm-hmm.
Could anybody or had anybody ever got you out of this before?
Okay, so I used to really make a cocktail of drugs. So I would have this is why I was actually sober. If you were to do a drug test on me, the crystal meth would be out of my system. It was really the sleep deprivation and more of the hangover effect from the crystal meth. So I used to then mix it with alcohol. I used to mix it with other drugs like GBH or even pot to try and bring myself down. I'd be so scared, I'd lock myself in my room. And I was very aware of the situation. I knew that I was psychosing, but there'd be times that I'd be triggered and really believe, no, there's too many signs that are happening here. I must be being watched. So I used to get myself so drunk that I would pass out and fall asleep. I would then wake up, feel better, be like, yes, this was just a psychosis, Lex, this isn't really happening. I would then walk back out on the street, start to see these little signs again, start getting really anxious, fall into a panic attack, and it would just relapse again. I'd then have to rush to the next pub or the next bottle shop and drink to relax myself, and eventually go home and pass out.
Wow. Was there any time in those states where you would drink to ease the anxiety?
Dramatically, yeah, all the time.
Would you get back on, or would you go to bed, or pass out?
It depended. So that was, so initially I would then get back on. That was my cycle. When I was coming out for this first 16 days, I would just go to sleep.
Good for you. And for anybody who's going through recovery or has been through recovery and has something similar, please comment down below. We would love to hear from you, just so that we know that we're not alone in this journey. And you don't have to leave your name or anything, but just if you have a similar instance, like Lex here or myself, in anything that I've described in my previous videos, please let us know, because the only way to get through to the next part of our recovery and your recovery as well is to talk about it and acknowledge that it's there. So going forward, Lex, how important is it to people that you have around you now? How has that helped you or changed you?
It's completely changed my whole life. So I've entered the Crystal Meth Anonymous program, which is where I've met Will. And instantly, through my using, I was very isolated. I lost a lot of friends. The only people I was in contact with were other heavy users and my dealer. I've really felt like I didn't have a lot of people in my life. And I really, without knowing it, lost a touch of reality because I was not a part of the community. And because I wasn't out and about living a real life. Through this, I've met friends. I've felt a need of belonging. They've dragged me out. So my first day, I kept going to the meetings, and I'd see the people, I'd listen to the people's shares. I'd think they were all about me, everything they were saying, when they were just sharing their own opinions.
Because this is the first 16 days, remember? So this is him still drying out. So I
would then go home and, I used to wonder, is this just a bunch of policemen undercover trying to catch me out, trying to get me to share my story so they can arrest me, blah, blah, blah. Eventually I started getting I broke down and I cried in a meeting. And
I didn't know
at the end of this meeting, a bunch of people came up to me, gave me their numbers. The next day, some of them took me out for dinner. They started texting me, calling me every day. And then from there, I started going out for lunch, started talking about normal things, started going shopping, and started remembering things I used to do with friends before I was an addict, before I used. And started realising what I'd actually lost over the last couple of years, and just what a real friendship was again, and what a normal day is again.
For me, and
then from there, every night I made a new friend from each meeting.
And see, that's actually where you and I have all the same similarities, is that feeling a sense of belonging, and having very people important. Call you or text you just during the day. And even when, I text Lex during the day all the time, just a little, hey, how you doing? I don't know how it makes him feel. He responds. Really, but for me, it feels good to actually make that connection with someone else, to actually have someone to text, because the whole isolation thing that comes with using, you're so caught up in that universe until you're actually out of it, like we are now. We can see how we were.
My only communication was with a drug dealer.
Mine too.
When they were coming, or with another friend wanting to know if I had money to buy drugs, if I had drugs.
Yeah.
And then vice versa with me and other friends when I didn't have the money, seeing if they had drugs and were willing to shout or if they were going to pick up. That was it. Now, I'd wake up, have no messages on my phone. I would maybe have a couple of messages a day or a couple of communications, maybe 2 communications a day. Now when I wake up in the morning, I have about 10 different messages from different friends seeing how I'm going, and then those conversations just flow right up until I go to bed at 12 o'clock at night.
And that is really important in anyone's recovery. And if you're an addict or you're a friend of an addict watching this, those text messages that you think are nothing are a huge godsend, and just keep the communication going. Now moving forward from that, let's talk about your usage and what made you use. So how did your usage start? Oh, actually, not how it started. How did your usage go from recreational and peak?
Yeah. So I was always a recreational user. I love drugs, I love partying, I love dancing, I love the nightlife, I love being crazy. I like the idea of being this eccentric, crazy lifestyle, and I always managed. I was a really good functioning addict. Yeah. Party boy in the weekend, go to work during the week. Managed it well, to a T. This is before I started using crystal meth. I used to love ecstasy, alcohol, speed, a little bit of cocaine, everything, and nothing was better than the other. As soon as I touched crystal meth, everything else went out the window. Didn't want anything else. Slowly I started, wasn't important to be clubbing, wasn't important to be out on the dance floor enjoying music, life, fashion, dancing, people I'm with. It was just the enjoyment of having a pipe and smoking it. I remember my friends, I had a job. My friends were all studying, so I used to look at them when they were using during the week, and I wouldn't, because I had my rules. Use on the weekend, I can't, got to go to work. And I used to think, wow, this is crazy, they're using on a Thursday night. Wow, this is crazy, they're using on a Wednesday. Wow, this is crazy, they're using on a Tuesday, Monday. I was like, wow, I'm really worried about my friends. Then it became during the daytime. They would be messaging me, sending photos, here, we're just doing this, doing that. All of a sudden, my concern for them turned into jealousy. I was jealous that they were, and jealous that they had the time, and that they could, and that I couldn't.
Was there ever a time where you were thinking, in your jealousy, I
just wanted to party. I wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Missing out on something.
I found a way to not have to keep a job, make money another way, and to be able to have a life where I could party every day. And I remember I took 2 weeks off from work and just thought I'll just have a little break. No, I got offered a new job. I finished one job and I was having a 2-week period before starting my new job. Started using every day, and then I remember calling my new job up and saying, look, I just need 1 more week before I can start, because I wanted to keep doing what I was doing. I went, after that 3 weeks, I was kidding myself saying I'm not everyday user, this is just a period, it's a holiday. Even
though you had just taken an extra week before the new job.
Yes.
You were saying to yourself, I'm
just extending my holiday.
Wow. Okay.
And then I went to work, my new job. I was so anxious. I remember calling my mum, who was a nurse, and saying, look, I'm so anxious. She was always aware of my drug use. She called me back and she said, look, if you stop using, you go on antidepressants and you take another week off, in a week's time you'll be fine. So that day I went, made a doctor's appointment, got on the crystal, boom. Didn't speak to her, didn't do any of that, and just never went back to that job. They called me. Eventually, after a month, they sent me a letter saying that they'd terminated my employment. I didn't care, because I was so happy doing what I was doing. And then eventually I realised 2 months after that I actually was using every day.
Wow.
Or that I wanted to use every day.
Now, when we talk about your usage, I was a blaster. For those of you who aren't aware of the Australian lingo, blasting is slamming in other countries, or injecting intravenously, where you put crystal meth directly into your arm or any other vein. Now, that was my way of doing it after I smoked it for a good 9 years of my life. And then I started blasting it, and that's how I kept my habit going because I didn't like smoking anymore. And the fact is, when I blasted, I could have a shot, a couple of hours would go by, I'd have the fun or whatever I wanted to do, I could eat and go to bed, and that was me rationalising my usage. How did you use? What was your usage about? Like, did you blast it? Did you?
I used to smoke it,
and that was
pipe,
it.
And half of my addiction was I used to love putting in a pipe, watching it burn, and smoking from the pipe.
And you actually notice how common that is. For me personally, it was seeing the blood go up into the syringe before I pushed it down. For Lex, who isn't, or for most people out there who don't inject, it's the swirl of the white smoke, or the
cloud build.
Yeah, or how it would come out your mouth.
And the old saying, a twirl and a whirl.
Now, we've got to also be mindful of not triggering people as well when we talk about this. But at the same time, we're not in a meeting. We're just communicating with you guys honestly. Now, I suppose from the swirl and whirl and the injections, all that, what made you quit? How did that happen?
Being honest, I never really wanted to quit ever. Or never wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
It was in an anxious state and a psychosis. I was like, I have to stop. I have to. Even when I started the CMA program, I said to myself, this is going to be great. I'm going to be able to go, get all my paranoid thoughts out of my mind. It will be like cognitive therapy, and I'll be able to go back home and keep using, and then I won't have any of the problems I used to have, because by going here, talking about it, doing the group therapies, it just clears my mind for when I start using again, so I'm not going in paranoid.
Wow. So
I started making those connections with friends, and I started realising slowly that Crystal wasn't something I needed anymore.
Did you go...
That's only been in the last 2 weeks.
Well, yeah.
But it's a day-by-day thing. I can't look at it long-term. I have to take it day by day and say, I don't want to use today. If I look at it long-term, I can potentially say, no, I don't want to give it up forever.
Yep.
I have to just say, today I don't want to use.
Yep. And every time we wake up, we thank whoever that we didn't use the day before. Now, when it comes to... Because, I mean, I shouldn't even admit this, but I will. My first meeting I ever went to was on a Saturday night, and I actually went with a friend who wanted to quit. I didn't have a problem. Even though that just before this meeting, I actually had a shot 20 minutes before. So I went in this meeting.
I used to go high all the time.
Flying.
I'll come home
and I remember sitting at this meeting with my friend, and I heard 3 different people share that I really connected with, and I broke down after that. And that's when I went, you know what, I have a problem, I need to stop, because I'm in a meeting of recovering addicts off my face, and this isn't right. And then I actually had this big epiphany that I don't want to use this drug anymore, and that was probably, out of something that shouldn't have happened like that, probably the best thing that could ever happen to me. And it's actually really interesting that you had that same fact, because I didn't know any of this, guys. This is everything I'm hearing for the first time. So because the first 3-4 meetings Lex was at, I wasn't at. So like I'm finding this all for the first time, which I find like so comforting, because this is something we can't talk about in the meetings.
Yep.
Because you can't trigger anyone. We don't want to, but we also, you know, want to be considerate. But at the same time, when Lex and I are doing this, it's not filtered. It's just how we want it.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Definitely not filtered.
And which is great. Which is how Lex and I both work, and that's what helps us get through the next part of our recovery. Now, Brian, are there any things that you... We all like being clean, because it like, I don't know about you, but the amount of clarity in how I feel from day to day feels amazing. Is there anything you dislike about being clean?
Weight. I love being super skinny. Even looking at myself now, like, wow. You've probably seen me do this a few times.
Yeah.
I used to look amazing, but that was it. I didn't have to. And I was one of those people, I would use Crystal and it wouldn't make my skin yucky. It would make it smooth and flawless. And that wasn't even just the fucking out of it eyes. It was true. Some people do. It does make you look nice.
Everybody, he is the exception. He is not the rule. So.
What do you mean the exception?
Well, you're the exception, because everyone else uses it and gets shit skin or gets the like that.
I was an exception,
and he is the exception to the rule. He can use and get super skinny and have the gorgeous face and the rest of us look like wadded monkey gland on the side of the road.
So for me, like, it's almost an everyday, like, battle. I look at myself and I'm putting on so much weight. I'm so hungry and I can't stop myself from eating. And every day my pants are getting fatter, my legs are getting bigger, and my jeans, I'm going up in sizes. I'm
to be fair,
gross. I won't wear a shirt now. I have to wear a jumper all the time because they're baggy up.
To be fair, he's actually still quite skinny. I'm
just being paranoid in my own mind. But he asked me what the worst thing about it is for me,
and that's
what I feel like it is for me.
And if you look back on day 20 for me, you'll see the exact same thing. Was my weight was my big thing. So like I can get that, but on the flip side, what do you love about being clean?
Everything I've achieved. So I've been clean 22 days.
And what have you achieved?
I've kept a job. I've started volunteering at 2 different organisations. I've started studying alcohol counselling. I've completed a certificate in emotional support counselling.
And that was today?
Yay!
Congrats.
And I get my first client in a week that I'll be looking after.
That's awesome. So that's 5 things.
I have normal conversations. I'm not paranoid. I laugh every day. I smile every day. I've made 20 best friends that I talk to all the time and actually want to talk to me. I have money in the bank. I'm starting to plan to do things. I have new clothes. I enjoy food and coffee again. I love coffee. I'm obsessed with coffee. I could never have it because I never needed it. Mm-hmm. I had to drink tea, chamomile tea, when I woke up because I'd be so anxious.
And that would calm you down?
There's thousands of things. That's just the iceberg on it.
So in 22 days, your life has changed that much that you have achieved so much. You've achieved just 13 things that are not just things, they are life-changing, the things you've accomplished in 13 days. And that's 22 days, rather.
And this is another big one. I used to go to a new city. I used to travel around Australia, almost the world, starting fresh. Because I'd be paranoid people trying to kill me, get me, fly somewhere else, get the same type of job, live in the same type of house, start again. Boom, get paranoid a month later, go somewhere else. I've been in Sydney almost 3 months now. This is a huge thing in the last couple of years.
Wow.
We'll probably go into, in the last 2 years, I've lived in 24 different countries and probably 66 different cities.
Well, when Lex comes back in a further episode, we're going to discuss that more because we're going to discuss in a future episode about the agains and about how a cycle is formed. So we'll wrap up this episode in a minute. Is there any advice that you can give for those people wanting to recover now?
So there's lots of different programs that you can join. Get into an NA or a CMA. It's an outpatient one. There's no real guidelines apart from you can just listen and start communicating and functioning and socializing with other recovering addicts. For me, my biggest thing was I felt like I didn't fit in with the real world anymore when I was first recovering. And again, I didn't want to be in the drug addict world because I wanted to change, but I felt I didn't fit in there. And I found a niche and almost a society of people where I do fit in again. That was the two really biggest things. I found a program that was unstructured but worked on my terms to begin with. And I found a support group of people. That was the biggest thing. So basically, if I fell down, everyone would run down to try and to help me.
And the links...
And family. Staying in contact with your family.
Everything that Lex just described.
All you need to do is make one friend in that meeting, and it will go from there.
Actually, yes, Lex.
Reach out to one person. That's all it needs to be.
Lex was that person for me. I hate people my age. Never ever had people who are my age that are friends, because they're people that I can't relate to on a certain level. And I do have friends my age, and if that are friends anyway, I'm sorry, but someone who actually really understands what I'm going through and gets me that is my age is probably Lex, and has saved me many times in the past 2 weeks that he's not even aware of. But everything Lex that has described the program stuff will be underneath in the suggestions and comment box. So follow a link, get to a meeting, and get the help that you want. But it all starts with you, and that's the most important thing. Is recovery starts when you're ready. Now I'm going to wrap it up now. So everybody, this has been Lex. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Now remember, guys, there is help out there if you need it. If you want to quit, today is a great day to start. If you're not ready for today, then try tomorrow, or try the next day, or the next day. The important thing is that you just keep trying. So from my
just go on Google, look for Crystal Meth Anonymous and your country. If there's not one, NA, Narcotics Anonymous. Trust me, it is one of the biggest societies of friends that you can make all over the world. Wherever you go, you'll go somewhere, and the networking is so much bigger than you even know. Trust me. You're tapping into one of the hidden society friends, jobs that you don't even know about.
It's literally saved both of our lives, and it could probably save
To
some
be a
lives
part
out
of it,
there.
you just need to be clean.
And why not start today? So until next time, we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.